Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
I've had multiple people ask me what my intro music is, and the truth is I have no fucking idea. It's just some stock music from a paid stock thing I have. Yeah, it works. It is pretty badass. The last song I had, I kept getting copyright strikes on, even though it was licensed. These fucking pirates that file these copyright strikes and they take your monetization. Yeah. Yep. So I ended up changing the song. That's why I got rid of the old one. What's going on with all you folks?
Not much. Just feeling better after post show. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm actually getting some good sleep these days. So that's nice.
Starting to feel like a human being again, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, the two nice things is when the fat burners kind of taper down and you can actually get like quality rest, you feel like you forgot what deep sleep felt like. And then of course, getting a little bit of estrogen kind of coming back to you. You just feel a whole lot better mentally, physically, just all around. You know how it is.
Yeah, you go back into caloric surplus, drop the stimulants, and let your E2 creep back up a little bit, and you start feeling like a fucking human being again.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying that for sure. It's nice feeling normal and, finding a schedule for this next phase for me,
Oh, that's awesome, Dave. How do you feel about your season? Like, how do you think everything went?
It wasn't my most exciting season, performance-wise myself, but, my look I wasn't thrilled with. I did a lot of different tactics this year, during prep. I tried a few different, tactics with dieting. We did a couple things that I thought worked well, and then other things that, I experimented with that probably didn't benefit me. So, but it was a good season for, the blue collar team itself, but me personally, performance wise, I could have been better. And that was actually my feedback, is that the judges, they all know me and they said, we've just seen you do better. We've seen you know that, I know that. So that was my feedback. But
yeah, your body was really stubborn this prep, man. I felt bad for you. It was like nothing we did seemed to get you moving. You did start to move between the two shows, like the last 3 weeks. It finally seemed like you were responding.
Yeah.
But like it was just like nothing was working.
Yeah. Well, I think one big thing is I didn't manage my sleep well this off season, and that kind of rolled into the prep. So just not having good rest and, kind of trying to be Mr. Tough Guy and grind through it rather than taking the rest you need, that probably affected it. And stress was one. Like I just kind of, between new job, new work life, a whole lot of new things in my life, a lot of coaching while I'm trying to also take care of my prepping, was a little bit stressful. So, that definitely plays a role. So between shows, I kind of identified it and said, I'm going to focus on just two things: sleep and kind of being stoic, not, just worrying about what I can worry about. And that's about it,
Yeah, that's a good approach. Justin, what do you do when you get somebody like you've had that where their body like has responded before, but it's just not doing the same thing?
There's nothing you can do. That's what sucks, is if you don't catch it until too late and you kind of have to make the decision. Do you grind? I mean, there's nothing you can do in any short term. You have to take a break, change things up, put some calories back in, let their body rest, and get their metabolism back functional. And the only way to do that is with time. And so, if you're 8 weeks out of a show, 6 weeks out of the show, you just got to decide, am I going to grind it down and it's going to be terrible and I'll get what I can get, but I might get a really good off season in response to that? Or am I going to just say, I'm here to win. I'm not here to just stumble onto the stage. But I've never found anything, more work, more calories burned will keep working. But if their metabolism is, continuing to drop, and it just snowballs, because then you get so depleted you know, that depletion, low energy feeling when there's no energy. It's not like I need some caffeine, or there's no glycogen, there's no calories in the diet. You know, your metabolism. Once you get to that point, there's just not much you can do, and it's like there's not. You don't know when it's going to happen always. I mean, you can usually tell because it's like Dave said, there's a lot of other things going on that year typically that, you know, when it happens, you're like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. He's got a lot going on, but no, I haven't found anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I found myself looking around and realizing that how easily you forget that rest and just taking a day off and getting yourself back to 100% battery charge, how valuable that is. Because when you're in prep, you're just thinking go, go, go. You know, you have to also be mentally kind of with it too sometimes. And I caught myself a few times, and I think you make a good point. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just get the batteries charged, a little extra food, get your mind straight, and then go right back to it.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of hours in the day. You know, it's 24 hours a day, and so if you take someone and maybe just at complete rest, just sitting and watching TV, they burn 90 calories an hour. Make it 100, I guess, for easy numbers. You know, if they kind of get sluggish and that gets down to 90 calories an hour, you're not going to feel any different. You're not going to notice any different. But that's 240 calories a day, which is more than a half a pound of fat a week that you're now not losing.
Yeah, that's true.
So it doesn't take. And I always thought, you know, I always knew that, and I thought it's, you know, like your daily NEAT, you know, not even NEAT, your daily, like what your energy level is, or your just caloric output, your metabolism, your true metabolism. It doesn't seem like it would vary that much. But I was wearing a Whoop for a while to watch, and I remember I was shocked at how different my estimated calorie expenditure could be for things like, you know, non-exercise related. Like we had a booth at the Detroit Pro the year before last. And both days we were there, my Whoop said I burned over 6,000 calories with no workout that day. And it was because me personally, I'm not a social person, and it just really drains me to talk to people all day. And that was real clear evidence. Just sitting there at a booth, I did nothing. I took no steps, but I burned 6,000 calories because the act of talking to people is really stressful on my body, you know. And so that's the other direction. But you can imagine how that could go in the opposite direction. You know, when your metabolism just gets a little bit sluggish. I mean, there's just a lot of hours in the day, so it adds up. But yeah, that really opened my eyes a couple of years ago to realize, like, wow, I never would have thought, because my typical day was like 3,500, maybe 4,000, and just something I didn't feel like I did anything different. I was just talking to people, but that added stress, and I'm sure it was very high cortisol. You know, it wasn't good calories burned. So I just remember thinking, like, geez, if I was in prep right now, that would have, you know, burning 2,000 calories more than I thought I was out of nowhere with no, you know, and it was probably all like pure cortisol calories. I would have looked like shit if I did that in prep, where I wouldn't even have thought anything of it if I wasn't wearing a watch to track it.
You're like me, Justin. I swear, like when I do those booths at the events, I sweat like I run a marathon.
Yeah, it's like something about it. My body just goes. I mean, I know it's like I'm not a real social, outgoing person, and so which everyone listening is like, yeah, right. You never shut up. But if I'm talking about bodybuilding, I can talk. But other than that, I'm just not. And so it's really stressful on my body.
It's the same thing. Physics too.
What's that? Physics?
Astrophysics.
Yeah. That's what my kids say. They hate physics. They'll never
it's the same thing. It's the same thing when I do these podcasts too. I'm soaked in sweat when I'm done these things.
I have a whole prep thing. I've got because we had a blizzard here, but I got the windows cracked because I know that as this starts going, my body temp's going to start climbing.
That's a good transition point. Like this is something I was thinking about with all the Nick Walker drama with him and Kyle, with him switching coaches. Nick was, I know he put some stuff out, but it's like, when is it appropriate to switch a coach and when is it not? Like and what do you owe a coach? I mean, that's been a big thing. Like people have been banging Nick for him leaving Kyle. It's been really weird to me.
Yeah, you don't owe a coach anything. I mean, you don't. The coach owes you something because there's you've transacted, you've exchanged money. That's how economies work. So
yeah,
you don't owe, but you owe yourself something never stick with a coach that's not working, but also know that you don't walk right into optimal with a new coach. You might get there very quickly if you really work well together, but every time you switch coach, there's some period of time where you're suboptimal for progress as you're both learning each other again. And if sticking with your previous coach is suboptimal for progress all the time, then you got to make the switch. But you just know that every time you make the switch, and we're all coaches, that second prep with someone is always
better.
Yeah, you just know so much more. Yeah, and so yeah, it's you got to find the right guy, and you should, as a client, you should never stick with the wrong guy. You shouldn't, but don't always think that you're with the wrong guy, because too many wrong guys in a row, you might get the right guy and miss it, or you just lose time every time you switch anything. The bodybuilding is just all consistency, everything. Eat the same things every day, do your workouts the same, get your rest. And so, switching coaches is another inconsistency.
Yeah, it is another. I'd say once you find somebody good, you lock in. I compare it. Look, this is like the NFL. You see it with the good teams, the teams that have good coaches. When they find a good coach, they lock in and commit to that coach.
Yeah,
and they
that's
stick to that.
That's a perfect example. Name a dynasty who is switching head coaches every year. Dynasties have a coach.
Now, when they do find a bad, like the Patriots last year, it wasn't working with their head coach, and they dropped in quick and went to Rebound, and they're back to winning again this year. Yeah. So, I mean, I think when you do, this is what I found in business. When you do have a bad relationship, you need to drop it quickly and move on. It's like a bad employee. Like I can tell you from experience, trying to make a bad employee work, it just never fucking works out. It just never works out. When you have a bad employee, you're better off just getting rid of them. And then when you get the good guy, hang on to them and don't take them for granted and hope for something better. But that's the way it is, I would say, with the coach. But really, this is the highest level of competitiveness. Like people are saying, like, well, he was his friend and yada yada, he owed him this. I'm like, you don't owe anybody shit.
And that's a hard part, is because the coach client relationship in this sport is so different than other sports. You do become friends with them, and that it's hard. I mean, you as a coach, you have to remove that, because you have to coach someone like you don't care about their feelings, because the stage doesn't, the judges don't.
No.
But and then also it's the same with business too. Like once you're friends with someone, it makes everything harder, and you start, that shouldn't be weighted in the decision of you as an athlete. If you as a person, but if you're in here to make money, this is your job. You're a competitive bodybuilder. You got to do what's best for your competitive bodybuilding career.
Yeah.
Well, I think
you make such a good point too about being a little bit different than other sports, because specifically in men's open bodybuilding, there's a lot on the line from a health standpoint as well for some of these guys. And, I think that makes that kind of like intimacy of that relationship seem a lot more one-on-one and less transactional than it really is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is still a job that person is doing for you. But, that's why I think from the athlete side of things, looking out for your own health and things like that are going to be key. But at the same time, you also have to do your part to be coachable. So it is a very interesting kind of yin yang dynamic with bodybuilding, because it is not a team sport. So there's different things with coaching that come up.
Yeah.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around the idea of Nick being uncoachable, though, because I mean, how many people have coached him? He doesn't had a whole lot of coaches, and the ones
he was with Matt the majority of his career.
Yeah. He was with Don Cardone as an amateur. Another guy, a little bit. I don't know if they were official, but he was helping them, and working out together or something. But so he's been with someone. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I like working with Justin. you tell me what I need to eat, man. I don't need all the.
I can't be. Yeah, there is different types of coaches, and actually Brandon Curry talked about that in our video, because you know how you coach, but you don't really know how everyone else does. But yeah, some people are like motivators and rah people.
I don't
look
like
at
that.
it as there's really two aspects to coaching. There's do you understand human physiology, and can you apply it? And if and most good coaches should to some level. Most coaches know, at least nutritionally and for bodybuilding specifically, they're pretty good at it. And the next, I wouldn't say it's art, because I don't think it's really art, but the next is an eye, and that's something that I don't know, you can't be coached it, but knowing when someone's in shape, when someone's dry, when someone's full. And as a coach, if you worked with a lot of people, that might seem obvious, you know, like looking at someone and knowing whether they're flat or full, you just know that. You've seen a million people that way, but people don't, you know. And I even remember early on in my coaching career not always knowing. And you know, so those are the two things really. Find a coach that you trust their knowledge of physiology, you know, because they need to know it, and not just because you can get lost in that, because you can read a lot of things and go to a lot of contests and do a lot of peaks and have like an idea of how it all works, where if everything works perfectly, your system will still work. But if you don't understand the whole physiology, you can't make adjustments when they stop going perfectly, which is what happens, which was when people miss their peak. That's a lot of times what it is. And then the next thing, which is arguably the most important thing, because if you have a really deep understanding of physiology, you don't get to apply hardly any of it. You don't. You know, we're in such a narrow bandwidth of peaking people for contests. You don't really need to know all that much. After that, all your skills need to be understanding what the look needs to be, because the way someone looks in their hotel room pre-tan is different than they're going to look on stage with a tan. And if you don't know what that look needs to look like in a hotel room, because you know, and clients will do it too. They'll send you pictures at the gym when they're 2 weeks out with it's like, yeah, you look stage ready, but I can't ascertain anything from this. Everyone looks good, you know. So those types of things, those are the two areas. That's really all you're looking for in a coach. And then I guess the third would be, do we interact well? Do we work well together?
I was gonna say, like, the relationship and communication style of every coach is different, and how every athlete acts is different. And after this experience, I'll tell you, like, I would say, like, the most critical, as critical, maybe even more critical than just the knowledge piece, is the communication with the client. The just enough information for the coach to make decisions, and the client to be, willing to listen and participate, and at the same time provide feedback, and it's that dynamic can make or break the whole thing. I mean, that's what makes or breaks the whole thing.
I would go so far to say that other than competition athletes, and because a lot of your people will be lifestyle people who don't compete, and this is kind of a hard truth that I don't like, but it is the truth. As soon as you know more about nutrition, training, physiology than your client does, there's as far as from a business standpoint, there's minimal benefit into learning that better. And most of your benefit as a coach and a businessman will come in learning business better, learning communication better, learning to lead other people better. And it's kind of a hard truth, because I think, at least for me, I got into this because I wanted to know everything about the human body, everything about nutrition, and you learn pretty quickly that 90% of that stuff, you don't ever get to apply it, especially with Joe, your Joe Weekend Warrior, who doesn't even know what protein is, like trying to explain, like, we need this complete protein because the rate limiting amino acid is higher than, that means nothing to them. But, motivating them and making them feel like they can succeed, and speaking to them in a way that makes them want to follow the plan, not dread their check-ins, those types of things. That's really, if you want to make money as a coach, as soon as you know more than your client base, as far as like the science, all your other efforts should really be put towards that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of coaches probably don't put much effort into that.
I wanted to address this one. Todd said Hollingshead does coach hop more than it makes sense from an outside perspective, but still it's only business. I will say this, there are the ones out there that coach hop too much. Like, if you're switching coaches mid prep, it ain't going to work well.
Yeah.
I almost always, if somebody, I've made exceptions to the rules a couple times, and I've almost always regretted it when somebody comes to me 4 weeks out or 6 weeks out and like, hey, it's not working with my current coach. Can you help me out? And then it's like almost always bad. Almost always bad.
There's usually a reason it wasn't working out.
I'll say this from my perspective. I need a full year with somebody. I need a full off-season phase. I need a full contest prep, and really I would like to have another full off season and contest prep to really assess where we're at. It's usually that second show or second cut where you see the most significant progress.
Well, you and I think we're a great example of that. I mean, I was really upset with myself with your first prep because I wasn't prepared for your metabolism. I mean, I had a little bit of an idea, but that
was my fault too.
But if you would have left after that first show, I mean, all our big progress that, came after that. That's when you had like a 40-pound off season. It's when, and then, turning pro. And it's not that you wouldn't have done that with someone else. You were going to turn pro eventually. And most people who turn pro are going to regardless. As a coach, you get them there quicker and more efficiently. And then hopefully, more healthy and all that stuff. But it's the same with fat loss. I like with a general pop person, I always say, if someone comes to me and they're not a competitor, they watch this live stream and they liked it and they want to coach. They're either going to get in shape or they're not. Whatever their goals are, they're going to reach them or they're not. I don't play a role in that. I really don't. What I do is get them there efficiently, effectively, without ruining their metabolism, as optimally as possible. But, I keep them from doing that starvation thing. That won't work forever. They'll get to their goal and then their metabolism will be ruined. But that's really what the client needs to bring to the table. The clients that are going to succeed, we're going to succeed with or without you. You're just going to make it much better, faster, and easier.
Well, this is why I stayed with you, Justin, and this is the way I always assess things in business. Like I like with employees. Like I've had employees where they failed at a task, but sometimes it's nothing they did wrong. It just sometimes just shit happens. I look at it like, was the effort there? Where are we philosophically aligned? Is there a game plan to correct course? And do I believe in the work that they're doing? And the answers were yes to all that. So I'm like, let's keep going and see where this progresses to. Like it's just shit just happened. Some of it was my fault too.
Yeah. It worked out, man. I mean, that next year was a great year.
No, I try to be pragmatic, and then and if I find something that works, I stick with it. I think that's a thing. A lot of guys, I see a lot of guys that do hop from coach to coach to coach to coach, and generally the ones that are like, and especially I'm sure you see it, man. It's part of me is like I've thought about making people commit to a year. At this point, I do give people month-to-month options, but like 2-3 months, I've had people leave after a month. I'm like, I can't. Like how can you make an assessment after a month?
You can't. Yeah. All you're doing at that point is you saw how I wrote diets. Maybe you can glean something from that.
Yeah. Now, like there's
way more cost-effective ways of doing that.
If there's like a completely deficient thing, like I had a coach, I won't name names, but I a long time ago, I hired a really high-level coach who would take 2 weeks to get a response back to me.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Or he just wouldn't respond at all. And then I said, I can't work like this. I don't care what his reputation is. I'm moving on. But yeah, I've had that happen before. That's a different
That's
scenario.
a hard thing as a coach too, kind of going back to the two aspects, because there's been like right now, I 100% am a better coach than I ever have. For whatever reason, it just all clicks right now. It just seems so obvious. Like with peaking people, it never seems like a mystery. It's just whether it's time in the game or what. But I feel like I am like Michael Jordan 1996 as far as coach. Like I couldn't be on the, but I'm very busy, and so I'm like stressed about my communication volume. The communication, my clients are all my clients are winning shows. I've had more wins this year. I know it's been a dream year as far as people turning pro, people doing well in pro shows, people winning state shows, guys winning, winning state shows that I've tried for. It's just been a great year. But I also feel like probably one of my worst years as far as like the extra, like, I don't want to say hand holding, but the non-science aspect of coaching. And so it's always a mix, I guess.
Yeah, and also mention too, if you're considering switching coaches, I think it's only fair to kind of audit yourself as well too.
Yeah.
Before you go ahead and say, this isn't working, coach, I'm making a change, whatever it is, you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, have I followed everything? Have I given honest, fair opportunity to this coach? And if you both know you haven't, then good riddance. It doesn't seem like you're a good fit anyhow.
Well, sorry, I keep talking over everyone, but everyone knows their check-in. If you have like a section on deviations, or you have the two types of clients, you had the client, any deviations? Yeah, sorry, coach, I didn't have a scale, so I eyeballed my almonds on one meal, or something. And then that's their. And then you have the other coach. Yeah, no deviations. I mean, we had a work function, but there was pizza. It was just cheese pizza, so I figured it's pretty good.
I can always tell. I can always tell.
Yeah, Nate Wolf, my other nutritionist, he's hilarious with that. because I'm usually pretty passive when people are trying to lie about following. You know, like you can tell if he's not. If you and your coach can see, tell your coach.
Oh, I can see.
Yeah, and it's like when you're watery and soft and it doesn't follow what we did the diet, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Or worse, you insist nothing happened, and then we have to think, okay, this guy's soft and watery, and we lowered calories and lowered carbs, and he insists he didn't eat off plan. That you're ruining the situation with that. So you got to be open with. You got to just don't lie to your coach.
Yeah. If you think we don't notice, you're crazy. Every time I've ever spoke up, I've been correct, and it actually makes me worry about the times I didn't speak up, that I probably missed something. I should have said something
if your coach doesn't speak up, that's a really bad thing, because they may have reached the point where they're like, this guy's not bought in. I'm not killing myself giving him the effort when he's lying to me. And I shouldn't. That really never happens. I get really good clients, I guess. That's never been. Maybe 1 or 2 in 25 years who you like lie about what they're doing. Most people don't. But yeah, if you are that person, don't do it.
I would say most of the time when somebody's invested the money, they're going to be somewhat accountable, or they just do like me when they're fucking off. They just don't check in.
Yeah. Those are the best clients.
I was going to say the self-assessment piece, like that part, because a lot of people look at the outside, right? Like what is the coach telling me? Well, how am I complying? Am I doing this, that, and the other thing? But a lot of people, unfortunately, lack the self-character, I guess, or that cold self-analysis of like, did I really truly follow what my coach is saying? Did I really truly, and then it's so easy to justify, right? Like, oh, well, maybe it's just the style or whatever, rather than being honest with yourself and saying like, no, I went off plan and I ate that cheese pizza. That was me, so it's really important to have that, again, the genuine communication. And if you're bought in, you're bought in. If you're not bought in, don't waste your time or your coach's time.
Yeah, and coaches, like Paul said, coaches are too expensive. You're bought in already.
Yeah,
exactly.
You better I mean, you're already in there to, get your results and be honest with yourself. The other thing I was going to say, I was going to comment when you guys were talking about like having a coach for over a year, 100%, because the first time you go through this process, I have no clue what I was doing. I had to learn the whole thing as you go. So that first prep, it's all learning, like, and even not just for you, but if you're a family person, it's learning how it affects you, your family, your relationships, your work people, because it all gets affected during contest prep. I've noticed there's a lot more stressors there than most sports. And you have to be aware of that. So my wife and I have already talked about, like, next year, if, not if, but when we do this again, what can we mitigate? What can we correct? What can we expect now that we understand the hangry? We understand the hormonal disruption. We understand the mood swings, things like that. All of those things are important and they develop over time. So, people who I just don't understand people who want to jump into this, do one prep and get out. Like,
I mean, sometimes some people want to just do one show just as a challenge and then get out, but I don't particularly have a problem with that. There are times where I goof up. I had a goof up this week. I felt fucking terrible about with a client. I had 6 guys peaking this week, so I was just like nonstop talking to people. I had a guy, just one of my regular dudes who's in his off season, and I marked his check-in as completed. And in my head, I had responded to him, and it was like 3 days later. He's like, "Bro, what the fuck? Where's my check-in?" I'm like, "Man, I'm so sorry."
Speaking with family, families do that all the time. I'll be in the middle of the check-in. Your 9-year-old needs something, you make mac and cheese or whatever, and you come back and you open it and you close that one out and go to the new one. Your brain just forgot that you were like mid-sentence on a response or something. I always feel so bad about that.
Yeah, I've goofed on that one. I wanted to play a little bit what Nick said. I kind of feel bad for the guy. I mean, it's like people just like, for whatever reason, they're hating on the dude.
People love to hate on Nick, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, no one hates on Steve Johnson, so could be worse.
True. Nobody knows who that is.
Yep.
Let's hear what he said.
I want to touch on is people think I make so many changes and mentally I'm not all the way there. Why? because I decided to move around to different states to see where I like, to see where I want to be. Why? Because my dog died. Why? Because I had a couple of dogs and I realized I wasn't ready for all the traveling and all the shit I have to do to take care of a dog one-on-one. So I figured I'd do the right thing and give it to somebody that could take care of it. And the whole, we changes coaches left and right. I've probably been with 4 coaches my entire career. I'm probably miscounting. In my entire pro career, I was with Matt the entire time. I went with Dom for a couple of months, went back to Matt, and then I was with Kyle for this time period, and now that's split. I don't know how that's. I'm getting a new coach every year. I don't know.
Yeah, so people are rough on that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
like I said, I mean, it's because he's everywhere. Like it snowballs. It self-energizes. He's good at promoting himself, and he's a good bodybuilder, and he's got a very standout physique. And so then anything happens, it just because he's always always on your screen. He's always on your screen.
I mean, when you're a high level competitor in any sport, you will attract attention, and that attention will bring detractors, same as it'll bring fans. There's some people that just don't like you for whatever reason, and those people tend to be very vocal, unfortunately, on social media.
Yeah, for every great feat, there's a million people on the internet ready to bash it.
It was interesting. I made a comment about it's a high level professional coaching relationship. Like, really, if it's not working, you don't owe the coach anything. Move on. And man, the people got really angry at my comment on that, and were bashing me and telling me like he was his friend, he fucked his friend over, and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, man.
Yeah, that's business too. I mean, that's why it's hard. It's you can coach your friend and you can be friends with people you coach, but they have to be your client when you're coaching them.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that in the NFL. That it doesn't work that way in the NFL. Yeah, they don't. The GM's friends with the coach. It doesn't fucking matter if you have a losing season.
Yeah.
All that stuff he's talking about too, in that little rant that he went on, like, we forget that he's a kid. He's like, what, 27, 28 years old?
No, I think he's early 30s.
Is he?
But yeah, he's still young.
That's still a kid these days.
It is a kid. And things like getting a dog and figuring out your lifestyle doesn't support taking care of it. Like, things like that are the kind of stuff kids do,
Yeah, Goodman made a good point. It's a service. You're allowed to leave whenever you want. I mean, it's really you're like, I look at it I did contracting for years. I did consulting. And there's no other than providing the service to the client. I mean, really, the client doesn't owe a whole lot to the provider, other than to be a willing participant. And it's really, yeah, I mean, we always said it in the business I was in, you're in service to the client, not the other way around.
Right.
And it was interesting to see, I saw Kyle go on a podcast and kind of get defensive and blame, kind of shift some blame towards Nick. And to me, that's thinking about it from a coach's perspective or a business perspective. If I had one of my consultants that worked for me when I was in the IT business go online and complain about a client, I would fire that person. I would never let them work with a client again. And I would imagine that other pros have got to be thinking, well, do I want to work with this dude?
Yeah.
After that, no offense to Kyle. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. I don't know him personally, but I would say, just for any up and coming coaches out there, never publicly complain about your clients. It's just a bad look.
Mm-hmm.
Or get defensive.
Take some responsibility and say that it was his fault. But then in the very next podcast I saw him in, that wasn't his attitude at all. And to me, that makes you look weak. When you're willing to stand up and take responsibility, that you look strong. You look weak when you try to blame other people.
In general, that approach to life will really serve you well. Just like take responsibility and don't lie. If you do, anytime you do something that you shouldn't be doing, you shouldn't be doing, and there's certain people who, if they discover that you've been doing it, it'll be uncomfortable. If that happens, just fess up. Don't do the shit, don't do the thing you shouldn't do if you're not prepared to take the consequences. And then that's a kind of a more general thing, but yeah. just in life in general, you do something, take ownership of it and take responsibility for the outcome, and your life will go much more smoothly.
The great thing about taking responsibility for everything is it sort of liberates you from having to count on other people or blame other people, right? Like whether it's my fault or not, if I'm willing to take responsibility for it, then then I'm in control.
Yeah. If you're not, you don't feel responsible.
That's a good point,
you
Mike.
don't own it, and you can't control it.
That is a really good point, Mike. Really good point. I mean, there have been plenty of times I've been involved in situations, I'm not saying in this, but like definitely in IT consulting where shit's definitely the client's fault, 100% the client's fault, but you can't go up and publicly get defensive about it or say anything. Like you said, you just say, like I own responsibility and move on. You look at it. I mean, you just look at it in the NFL, the best coaches. I remember Joe Gibbs was the coach here in Washington for years, and he's beloved and an icon here in DC. And after every, always when he would lose, it was my fault. When the team would win, it was all the players.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way Joe Gibbs operated. It was, I'm responsible for losses, they're responsible for victories, and I feel like if you kind of live that motto, that it just presents better.
Because the truth is, reality already happened. They already won or lost.
Yeah.
So, and people know that. And if you're the coach and you win, they know you were the coach when you won, and they know you were the coach when they lost. And so, whether you pass blame or not, everyone knows what happened. It doesn't affect reality, so you might as well own it.
Another piece is that like keeping your communication, especially these are public figures. I mean, these are people who have thousands of followers, in social media. Again, by keeping
millions,
with your communication like very clear, very professional, and very high level, you can talk. You can talk things that are perhaps hard subject matter, but if you keep your tone professional and respectful, you can actually move forward with difficult conversations. But that's an art. That's
actually good evidence of how well you understand it. It's easy to talk difficult concepts to other people who know the difficult concepts. Can you explain the difficult concepts to an 8th grader? If you can, then you understand the concept fully.
Yeah, and you're a great educator at that point. And you're being an educator. That's the other thing. Because I mean, relationships, again, in the end, we're all human, and it's all interpersonal relationships and so forth. So if somebody's style just doesn't mesh or whatever, just be professional about it. And you can say, well, his style is such, mine is such. They were incompatible, unfortunately. So we had to part ways. There you go. Nobody gets painted into a corner and to a bad picture. But when you start making it personal, then, at least for me as a client, if I were to be looking for a coach and I see a coach that kind of bashes a client or something like that, maybe rightly, maybe wrongly, but I know that it would make me hesitate to communicate with that person. It would definitely make that style of when it gets personal rather than professional, it would make me hesitate whether to contact that person or work with that person.
I would never work with a coach that blamed his athletes.
Right, because that's going to be me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's just not a good look. It's just distasteful, and when anytime you get defensive, it's just never a good look. I mean, I've been guilty of it. Believe me. Well, I mean,
we all have. We're human. We make mistakes. The trick is, how do you handle the mistake? Now, that's the important part. You know, mistakes will happen. That's inevitable, especially when you're relentlessly pursuing improvement. You will make mistakes. It's part of the learning curve. But how you handle the mistakes, are you? Is your pride getting in the way of making the correct decisions, or making the more humble decisions? Like, yep, that was my fault. Fix it. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Hopefully I didn't blast you guys out. I think I got the mic muted. Yeah. Ryan talked about Joe Gibbs, an icon in NASCAR. Well, I mean, growing up here in the DC area, I mean, to me, Joe Gibbs is my role model as far as leadership goes. Like, I was just such a humble, just tactful person. I mean, he just, like, I would say he's probably the best leader I've ever seen. I mean, and that translated, it's interesting how he went from football to NASCAR, and in that leadership, those skills are universal.
Yeah, winners win.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, humility, hard work, all being gracious. What do they say? Gracious in defeat, or gracious in defeat and humble in victory. I think that's what they with the was it Lombardi that said that? I think it was Lombardi. I don't remember.
Well,
I paraphrase.
It wasn't. That dude got so
In
lucky.
business,
I want to be one of those guys who gets quotes like associated with him, even if he didn't say it. Lombardi's guy, he gets all the good quotes, whether he said them or not.
I think that actually might have been a hockey.
Yeah, I think so too.
I wonder, hey Justin, I wonder if your AI will start as it grows and learns more, it'll start getting those quotes, and then it'll be like, no, that wasn't Justin, that was AI Justin.
Yeah. Speaking of the AI Justin was pissing me off with the meal scanning. We had that ready weeks ago because we're global. We want food. We want it to recognize food sources from everywhere. For some reason, AI Justin decides that European food names are better than. For every single time when you take a picture of it like steak, if it couldn't know the exact cut of steak, it would just decide it was like entericotta or it's some weird word that you use in France for that just means a generic cut of steak for a meal. We couldn't train it out. We finally got it fixed but it was it just kept wanting to go right to Toronto IQ is the UK Justin, apparently Europe Justin. Oh man, it's driving me crazy.
That's hilarious.
So while this quote is attributed to Vince Lombardi, Christopher Earle, who's a Canadian actor and playwright. That's the one that came up with it. So there we go.
Yeah, Lombardi was winning isn't everything; it's the only thing.
Yeah.
Was he the fatigue makes cowards out of all of us? Was that him? Or was that just associated with him?
I don't know.
I've seen that several times, and that just seems like an old Roman saying. But I've always see it with Lombardi at the bottom.
All right. Enough of that one. I wanted to talk about the Romania Pro and Andrew Jacked yesterday. Man, he's looking like he's going to be the next Mr. Olympia now if he can keep this going. This was yesterday.
Wow.
This was prejudging. I think the finals is going on today. I don't know if there's anything up from finals yet.
Wow.
Man, he looks full
and ripped. And I think his posing got better.
Yeah, look how big he's just really big. Jeez, that's the best I've seen. I haven't seen these pictures yet.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Be a little harder from behind.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in his lower calves, he's really full. He's kind of rebounding even a little bit, but he's crazy. He's able to get all the water under the skin out for the most part.
Yeah.
Jeez.
With a guy like him, I would admit, do you opt with the full look, Justin, or?
I think so because he's so angular. He's got incredible separation, but if he's flat at all, that separation just starts to look lanky, I think.
He's about as dry and grainy though as I've ever seen him in those pics.
Yeah. I mean, if you can be full and dry and grainy, that's even better.
Yeah.
What body fat percentage are these for me who's newer to the sport? What is this 3%?
No, 5, 6.
Yeah, I hate that though, because outside of human dissection, you have no idea.
Okay.
Because calipers, only get so little, and then if you do hydrostatic weighing, bone density plays a big role. And
that sounds like a great horror movie.
you can hijack if you want to do hydrostatic weighing. Weigh yourself when you're dehydrated the day before a contest, and then do the hydrostatic weighing when you're up 30 pounds and bloated after. You'll be lower body fat after because you've gained 30 pounds of fat-free mass from water. Yeah. So I mean, it's somewhere in the low in the middle single digits, 5, 6. But you don't really. I mean, there's no way of knowing outside of dissection. But Tom Prince had a statement years ago that I think is the best way of saying it. Because you don't know what body fat you need to be, but if you want to know if you're in shape for a contest, grab the skin at the top of your knuckles. If any part of your body doesn't feel like that, you could still be leaner.
Wow.
You'll never get there, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
You'll get close. I mean, when your upper quads will feel that way, your lower abs will feel that way. You're probably not going to get your lower back, but most of your body will. But that's a good gauge. You don't have to worry about body fat. Pinch some on your body. If it doesn't feel like the skin on your knuckle, you need to be leaner.
I would say, take this with a grain of salt, but I've been having guys get DEXA scans this year and last year, just to kind of, and it seems to be consistently when guys are like in really good stage shape. Like I'm talking about glutes in, they're high 5s, low 6s on a DEXA scan for what that's worth.
Mine's on Tuesday, so let's see how that goes.
That's usually what I see. I mean, anything below 10 is lean. I don't think people realize how.
You're on stage getting looked at. So if you get a reading that says 12%, but you have striated glutes, you still have striated glutes. That's why I don't like body fat. I don't, because we compete based on our look. There's other metrics we can use that are helpful, but don't get caught up in them.
I've done a DEXA for every show. I did the one where I look like a famine victim. I was 4% on a DEXA in that one. They told me that was the lowest DEXA they had ever seen.
That is low on DEXA.
It was like 4.5, 4.6. Last year when I won my pro card, I was like a smidge over 6, like 6.1, 6.2 is what I was last year, which was a better look, way better look.
Yeah, that's another good thing. Yeah, that's the goal is always get as lean as possible, but there is also a best look that may not be, it may be a percentage body fat higher than the lowest you've ever been. It probably isn't. So people doing their first show don't think you can get by being fatter, but yeah, there is always a best look.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out that whole water dryness spillover balance thing. Like I have no idea. Like I'm leaning on you, Paul.
Go watch the Ronnie Coleman's Unbelievable.
Okay.
He's 5.5 weeks out, I think, in that. And look what he looks like at almost 6 weeks out of the show. When you look like that, you don't have to worry about water balance.
Shoot, you're giving me like a early high target.
Just get as big as Ronnie Coleman.
And just look like Ronnie, and you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll tell you: unless you're a super heavyweight and competing for a pro card, you don't have to worry about being full.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't worry about being full.
I have a photo that I saved for that of Human Eaton when he turned pro at 198. He's my height. He's 5'10", 5'11", turned pro under 200 pounds, but you would never guess he was under 250. But he turned pro as a light heavy. Human Eaton, if anyone wants to look him up.
You're talking about the InBody scan. All those InBody scans are horrible.
Oh, they're the worst.
Yeah. My wife got into that kit for about a year where when she did her weight loss journey with the InBodies, and it can get really obsessive really quick. Like, I have this extra, pound in my leg or whatever. Oh, it's
well, it's InBody, so just wait a couple minutes and take it again. You'll get a different.
Drink some water. Drink some water.
Drink some water and take a poop, and it'll read 5% different.
Yeah.
Or be cold. Yeah.
And InBody, for being a big expensive piece of equipment, like you can buy a scale for your house for under $100. It does the same thing with the same level of accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
What did Tanya ask?
She's asking about the DEXA machines that you big guys are using, because when she did her thesis, she did it with firefighters, and a surprising number of them were out of frame on table, even though they weren't particularly big.
Huh.
Oh, I was out of frame when I did mine. My they couldn't fit my arms in it.
Yeah.
You know what they do is they calculate an average, and then they apply that percentage on the unscannable parts of your body. Someone explained that to me once.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, so there's 11% of your body that the scanner's not picking up. It's just going to take that average and apply it to that 11%.
So the lady that did mine, what she would do is have me have one arm in so she could see what the mass was on that arm, and then somehow she adjusted the thing to where they could figure it out with just the one arm.
For the arm that wasn't there. Interesting. It's crazy to me because the last time I did a DEXA, I felt like that it was huge.
Yeah, I'm wider than the platform.
Yeah, me too.
That's crazy. Yeah. Yes, Ryan is correct. InBody is a joke. I mean, like Mike said, you could get
it's a great marketing tool.
It's not even worth using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to say, you know, at least you'll get something that you can track changes, even if it's not giving the correct reading it. But it's just very.
I don't even think it's good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's
No, you're
not that
better at
accurate.
the home ones that you could make as accurate as possible, because such even differences in body temperature are going to have an impact on the InBody. I mean, like how much water you drink, like you're way better just getting like a Withings or something, a good quality, like at home scale.
I like to use a mirror.
Right.
This thing called check-in pics.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, even those like at-home scales or InBody scales, like if you check them routinely under the exact same circumstances, like if you did it on every Tuesday, which also happened to be a rest day while you were fasted, had the same level of hydration, like it might give you something that you can actually track. But most people aren't going to do that anyway. So what's the point of using something like that to track? The best way you can see is in the mirror.
Yep.
Yeah, I just don't like getting caught up in those secondary metrics, because if you step on if you do an InBody and it says you're 2% body fat, but you're fat, it means nothing, you know. And so it really there's almost no chance that it benefits you, and a big chance it harms you mentally. You know, if you are stage ready, if you're fully gutted out, ready to go win a show, and you get one of those and it says you're 9%, you know, a week out of a show. You know what you look like, but it'll still be hard not to panic, you know. And conversely, if it says you're 2% and you are 9%, you can get yourself in trouble the other way by going to the show thinking you're Andreas Munzer, and you step on stage and you're, I don't know, not.
Yeah, no, I'm always surprised. Like when there'll be a bikini athlete who will post hers and they'll say she's 6%, and I'm like, no.
6 is that's 3 and 6. Those are the only percentages any celebrity has ever been when they're in shape. Everyone who's ever got in shape in a roll has either been 3 or 6% body fat.
I don't know what it is with me in the InBody machine. It doesn't matter if I'm stage ready or I'm in full blown off season mode. It says I'm 14% all the time.
I did it one time. I was 17% 2 weeks out of the Mr. Michigan that I won. I did not. I mean, it messed with me mentally. I'm like, because you know you're 2 weeks out, and I think I'm ready, but I'm like, fuck, 17%. Wait, do I have prep brain? Am I not seeing something?
Am I a soccer mom and I just don't know it?
Yeah.
You know, the last one I did, it said I was 7% body fat and I was 190 pounds. I'm like, let me tell you, I'm 168 today. And yeah, that's not even close. That's not even close. Like it's absurd. It really is absurd. And Justin, you have a great point. It does create anxiety. Like even like I said, my wife is a lifestyle person, not a bodybuilder. But it definitely, I had to talk her down a couple of times. Like, hey, remember, it's not accurate. You're just seeing trends, and not very accurate trends at that. On top of that,
they make software now you can download, and it hacks your InBody scanner and lowers the body fat by 3%. Those are selling really good.
It's like vanity sizing for scales.
Yeah.
Did you think you are?
It's like the corset. It's like the corset.
We should invent that. We'll call it your body instead of InBody, and it's just InBody, and then we take all the numbers and remove some fat from it,
and we make you sound good on paper.
That's I always cringe when clients send me their InBody scans. I'm just like, no, like I know these are inaccurate, but
then why are we talking about it?
Oh man! All right, we want to take some questions.
Yes, we have a bunch.
I didn't expect to talk 45 minutes about coaching client relationship.
Yeah,
I got
to head off in about 5 minutes. I didn't realize we were on so long. That was fast.
That was a good topic.
All right, from Charles Perez, Reta drop fasting blood glucose after a few weeks from 105 to 78. Is that common? Yes.
Yes.
That is doing its job. That is the medication working.
What GLP1’s do.
Yes. Yeah.
That was an easy one.
Yeah, that was an easy one.
You do have to watch. I will tell you, I've had some people with the Reta, they end up starting going randomly hypo. And then if you're a dummy bodybuilder who also uses insulin,
I don't do that, but
yeah, just consider that in the equation.
The hypo thing was kind of weird too.
I don't even use water with my
thing, and it's so weird how you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, what is going on in my head? You know, it's kind of scary for sure.
I I am a diabetic. I got to fit that in every episode because people love when I say
Bingo,
that.
right?
It's like the bingo word for the episode. So there it is.
But it's secret word.
And with the GLP-1 now, I'll go hypo sometimes, like just using 3-4 units of Humalog with the GLP-1, which is crazy.
Mhm.
It works. Anyway, next question. So be
Okay.
careful.
From Josh Bow, time of year to start upping calories a bit and PEDs, 400 tests, 200 EQ, 4 IU of growth to start.
Is that a question or a statement?
Statement.
It's something more like a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Maybe he's asking if it's a good idea. It's like, oh,
Yeah, I mean
Maybe.
that mix test, an anabolic that you prefer, like EQ, Masteron, MPP, and
Right.
GH, is really about as good as it gets. You combine those compounds, and you're getting basically the maximal effectiveness with the minimal risk of health effects. Avoid oral, stick to injectables. Minimize the compounds, preferably 2 compounds. Testing an anabolic. As far as long-term progress, that's about the optimal, dose response curve where you can push doses the highest with the least risk of health effects. And then you go in, if you ever compete, you go into a prep having spent an off season without using tren, without using orals, without using harsh injectables. And so you feel pretty safe about throwing the kitchen sink at a contest prep cycle.
I will tell you this,
Was
because
a
of the
statement.
math.
He's just excited for the off season.
oh, nice.
Josh, I will tell you this, from experience. There is a Masteron and Primo shortage right now, but with EQ seems to be, from what I've seen in blood work, the most aggressive at lowering estrogen. I've seen some guys with absolutely smashed estradiol from EQ, and I've had that experience myself.
Well, they have high estrone, I'm sure.
Yeah, estrogen's probably high because it does convert to E1, not E2. But
Well, I know that mine
supposedly,
is absolutely crushed right now, and I'm feeling it. And I'm thinking about reducing the EQ.
yeah, I would say 50% of your test dose is like the upper limit of what I've seen
Tren.
for most up the trend. That's always the answer. That seems to be the upper limit of what you can get away with without smashing your estrogen, from what I've seen with most people.
It seems to vary a lot with EQ, but the people who get the suppression get it really hard. Like I said,
I get it hard.
Yeah, one of my clients was just at a 7, no AIs, and the only thing is they switched from Primo to EQ when the Primo balance shortage started. I was pretty surprised, but yeah. But some people, because I never really got that. My estrogen would always be in range using EQ as my main anabolic.
Well, that's why, I know people get upset when I say I prefer Primo. That's why I like Primo. To me, is the middle ground between EQ and Masteron.
Same.
I have a preference for Primo. It doesn't seem to as aggressively lower the estrogen as Equipoise. It puts me nice in range. I can run it a bit higher than I can run the Equipoise. Granted that Equipoise is more anabolic than Primabone, but if you're equating doses, if I can run 600 versus 400, I'm probably getting just as much of an anabolic effect out of it. And I also don't get the same elevation in hemoglobin and hematocrit that I do with Equipoise.
Same.
With the EQ, you get to add D-ball.
Yeah, you can. I mean, that's the quick
you can
fix.
up your stuff even more. Let's go.
Well, how do you guys feel about exogenous estrogen?
Using it? I mean, I used Synovex back in the day.
Parabolic has all kinds of stuff on it.
Well, you're not going to fix the problem.
It's just another variable to keep up with, though. That's the thing. It's
I mean, I've heard of guys doing it. I would be very cautious with that.
Yeah, we take everything too far, because it used to be 20 years ago, everyone was trying to keep their estrogen low all the time and wondering why they felt like shit. And then
you remember that?
realized,
like back in the early 2000s, it was 1 milligram of anastrozole every day.
Yeah,
that was just standard cycle.
Yeah,
I was off season.
Yeah, everyone was trying to lower their estrogen, and then someone realized it wasn't so bad if it wasn't low. And then it switched, and then it seemed like for a little bit of maybe a year or two ago, everyone was trying to take their estrogen sky high. And it's we're at 9 with something, and we realize if we get that number to 11, everything's better. And so then everyone's like, well, let's take it to 11,000 then. That's got to be the best.
Because more is better, and better is always more.
Yeah.
What I found is that for me, like with the estrogen, like if I run it just a little bit over the reference range in the off season, that's when I feel the best.
40 to 60 is what I like.
Yeah, that's kind of like my happy spot. And and I get the argument with higher estrogen and more estradiol conversion and better lipids and all that shit, but like you get to a point where you get bloated, you get high blood pressure, your dick doesn't work. I'm sorry, if my dick doesn't work, I don't care what my IGF-1 is.
Yeah.
I
don't need muscles that bad.
There's no amount of IGF-1 conversion that's worth having a limp noodle to me.
I'm checking all those boxes right now. The libido's crushed, the dry achy joints. I get these. I have like degenerative discs, so my back aches get terrible when my
yeah,
estrogen's
that's
really
low
low.
Estrogen, man. I mean, the quick fix for you, Mike, might be
wake up and your spine is a solid rod.
Oh yeah.
The quick fix for you, Mike, might just be some D-ball.
I'm in the same boat with
the
libido thing. I'm sure my estrogen is crushed. I haven't checked it lately, but
that's what I had to resort.
How are you, Gonzo?
I'm 1 week out, and this is peak week. So
yeah,
and I weigh like I said
168,
168, and I started at 208. So that should tell you everything. That was like a 40-pound weight loss.
Trust me, 1 week out, if you have any sex drive at all, it's not normal. There's something wrong.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that, because like we were doing an after action analysis, my wife and I, of the whole process, and that was by far the number one thing that we're like, this is something we're going to have to address next time we do this process.
There was that famous thing Kai Green said about at the end of prep, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is preferential to sex. Yeah. I paraphrase, but
yeah,
like that, you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, with the whole estrogen thing, man, it's really like you really got to dial it in, and you have to figure out. I've seen some guys that can run it super high, and it doesn't seem to bother them at all.
Yeah, I had one not too long ago. A guy was at 200, and not watery. And he said he's always runs high, and it feels just fine on it. So, and it's, I know when mine's high, because my blood pressure will start to shoot up. Yeah.
Because mine will tend to run high, but if it does, but last fall I had that opposite problem where I ran EQ, and then I had run the Aromasin on prep, and I didn't realize from Kurt, it was telling me that the Aromasin could like permanently crash or at least long-term crash.
Yeah, well, the Aromasin binds to the aromatase enzyme permanently. And so you can only make new enzyme.
It's a suicidal inhibitor.
Make new enzymes, which you will do. But conversely, if you do Arimidex, this is why I hate when people go off and on Adex, because if you take Arimidex and then you think your estrogen is too low and you just stop it.
Yeah, and then it's fucking rebounds.
Yeah, so all those enzymes are now free to convert, and all the new enzymes you've made are free to convert, and so you can get an estrogen rebound on Arimidex.
Yeah, I had that, man. I could not get my estrogen above 10 for like 6 months. I mean, I finally had to resort. I had to eat my words, because I'm always bashing on D-ball, which I mainly do just to piss people off.
Instead of eating your words, you ate your D-ball.
I had some D-ball. I like to do some stuff that gets people butt hurt.
So what I'm hearing is that after the show on Saturday, I should start like just popping D-ball like this.
No. Usually it's the opposite. Usually post show you have the opposite problem, man. You have the huge estrogen and aldosterone rebound.
Yeah, you've seen Willy Wonka, right? Remember that blueberry chick when she turns into a giant blueberry?
Yeah,
that's what'll happen.
I always get at least 3 or 4 dudes every contest prep season that have the 40-pound weight gain in 3 weeks or whatever it is.
Okay.
I always have a couple of those guys.
Well, for anyone listening, just in general, I know you're excited to grow after your show, and you're going to grow no matter what. Hold off on any orals you have planned, and then probably also hold off on GH for about 10 to 14 days.
And Androlone.
Okay. Absolutely.
You won't need, you can sniff PEDs, like be in the same room as testosterone, and you're going to grow after the show. So you don't need much. And the worst thing you can do is you start holding too much water, you're not going to be able to grow because you won't be able to move.
Justin, when I had that huge rebound with you, I was running 500 mgs a test and like 2 or 3 units of GH. And I think, if I remember right, it was a little bit of MPP, like 150. Yeah, something like that. But it was very low. It was very minimal.
Yeah.
It was-
In general, like everyone's different, but my general thought on it is you can if you just take about 60% of your previous off-season doses in that 4 to 6 week peak period after show, and you'll grow as pretty much optimally. You don't need more than that. Your water retention will stay low enough that you can still train. You don't get the lower back pumps that are debilitating, and it's enough anabolics with the amount of food you're going to eat and the appetite you have and the motivation you'll have to grow.
I mean, it sounds perfect. It sounds like better harm reduction, right? Better risk
Yeah.
mitigation.
Oh, yeah.
You get the results, and you save money because you're not spending like $10,000 on Primo. So
yeah. The only reason you do a show is for that period after the show. That's the funnest time in bodybuilding for me.
The one memory I have of that big rebound, I remember going on vacation, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks post show, and the place we went to Asheville, and there was a bunch of hills there, and walking everywhere. And I remember the just horrendous calf pumps. I had to like stop walking up the hill. And she was like, "Are you getting out of breath?" And I'm like, "No,
the compartment syndrome.
My fucking calves are so pumped. I gotta stop."
Oh man, that's the worst.
That was me the whole time we were in Europe this year. That was what was surprising for me after this last show, dropping down to 300 milligrams a test a week. And then I went on vacation and did all that stuff. I'm gone for 8 weeks. And then I get back and I do labs, and my T levels are still like 1700.
Wow.
That's great, man. All right, what do we got up next? Sorry.
Oh shit. I gotta go, guys. I didn't realize what time it was.
All right, bro. See you guys. See you later.
Justin.
Amen.
See you, Justin.
later on.
This is an interesting one from Sex Smoothie. He's asking about Reta and prep. And do we think the athletes brought their best looks with or without it? I think it's interesting because this is the first year that it's been available, even on the gray market. But Dave, I mean, you've done preps without peptides, and then you did this prep with a lot of peptides. What do you think?
Well, I definitely noticed the second I dropped Reta like 10 or 11 days out from the show, and I seemed to just hold as you would expect, a little less bloat sensation. I felt tighter in my stomach. Hunger came back pretty quick, and honestly, the dose I was on, hunger was pushing right through. I think I topped out at 3 milligrams by like week 8 weeks out, and I just stayed there. But the look, I mean, I seemed to start dropping a little bit more water once I took it out. It seemed like I was retaining less inflammation, to be honest, but nothing wild. I mean, I've had some people I've prepped with it that doesn't have any effect on their look at all. I didn't notice any difference with carbing up. I mean, I seemed to absorb it and kind of synthesize the glycogen just fine, though some people have mentioned they had a tough time carbing up. So maybe for me specifically, I'd say it really didn't alter much at all, but I did notice a little bit of a drier look when that came out. That's really about it. And there's something nice about not feeling bloated. Like, I mean, the last thing you want to do is step on stage and feel slow, feel bogged down. Even if it's not a big volume of food, just feeling like you have to go to the bathroom or you're backed up or something, not feeling empty sucks. You know, I like that feeling empty. I feel tight. It gives you a confidence. I don't know if any of you guys have any experience with them on your prep.
I'll tell you, I prepped. Yeah, I counted this weekend. I just passed 60 for the year. 60 people I prepped, and most of my clients this year I prepped using peptides and GLP1’s. I'll say this: it's kind of been a mixed bag. The people that I've had that have had a hard time losing fat, the combination of MOTS-C, SLU, and Reta is a game changer for the guys that can't lose fat.
Yeah.
The guys that, like, I've had guys before that just, like, it didn't matter, Clin, any of this other stuff, the guys that just could not lose weight or struggle with losing weight, it's just been like a cheat code getting the fat off. What I will tell you is the bigger, fuller, leaner guys, it does seem to flatten them out. I've had poor experiences with my bigger guys on that stuff. I don't, this is just anecdote. This is observation. I've been yanking the Reta the last 2 weeks before the shows for my bigger competitors. Like Dave said, just to get rid of the bloat, to help them load the carbs. It seems to there does seem to be some gut inflammation that comes along with it.
Yeah.
There seems to be some distension that comes along with it.
Nick
I'm really
was a fan.
struggling. What's that?
Nick was a big fan, and his abdomen certainly didn't look better this year than it did in years past.
Yeah, and that's just anecdote. I don't know if the slowed gastric emptying has anything in it. I've also noticed on blood panels this year, more than ever, quite a few people with micronutrient deficiencies.
Excellent absorbing, perhaps.
Yep, I think there's some malabsorption going on. I've noticed quite a few guys that have low ferritin, low B12, magnesium.
Yeah, it's a known issue with B12 and all the GLP1s.
Yeah, that was me. So we talked about that when you were down at my place, and I checked my ferritin and iron, and it looks like I'm having a tough time absorbing it. And there's plenty present, just not being uptaked, from what I understand. So that was the only thing that was off. But then the other side of the coin, we talked about this too. My blood work was the best I've ever had.
Yeah,
all around.
Lipids, liver, kidneys, all that stuff seems to be improved. I've had tons of guys come out of prep where their blood work is like usually you have liver, kidney, lipid skewing coming out of prep, and guys that have run GLP1s through the prep don't seem to have that.
Yeah. And then my insulin too, my fasted insulin got down to just about 5. And when I looked back in my other blood works, I had it at about 17, which is higher than I'd want it to be, but still within a reference, the reference range. But it was at about 17, probably 3 weeks, I think, before I started my prep this year. So I thought that was a very impressive number.
Mine was with my pancreatic insufficiency.
Yeah.
When I had my fasting insulin done earlier this year, it was 1. That's not good.
That might be a little bit too low.
Yeah, not good. That's why my blood sugar gets high.
But it was wild. Like even my HDL climbed, and I don't do really orals in the off season, but you're going to be kind of oral heavy at the tail end. And I got my blood work literally like 6 days after the show. I like seeing it kind of for what we call the worst position, and to see my HDL go up 20 points was something I was thrilled about, because that's been a difficult
Did
thing.
it go up to 20? Is that what you're saying?
No. Yeah, I was still, I think it was 35. I was at like 15 or something like that. It was pretty bad when I last checked it, but still, that's a pretty good jump. I mean,
that's a very good jump.
That's really hard to do without.
Are you taking anything else? This was just post contest? You weren't like on ezetimibe or anything like that?
No. I mean, I take my telmisartan, and I take for cholesterol stuff. Like I do the natural red rice extract or whatever it's
red
called.
Yeast rice, citrus bergamot, and
citrus bergamot. Yeah.
Okay.
But none of that changed. That's been in since my
my
numbers were lower.
If anybody wants it, I have a cholesterol lowering stack. If you just shoot me an email, I'll get you a copy of it. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some significant improvements in blood work. It's been crazy. So here's been my take. If you're a hard person who has a hard time losing fat, it seems to flip on the cheat code. I would say, for like your large competitors, your national level competitors that need to look big, full, hard on stage, I would probably, if you're going to run it, I would yank it at probably a couple of weeks out is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
One
other thing I was going to quickly mention too is I've noticed with myself and then prepping other people using retatrutide is there's definitely, out of all the GLPs I've used with people, that seems to be the most erratic in the sense of being person dependent of what kind of results you're going to get, whether that's hunger, blood panel, or even assisting them in losing some fat, where something like TERS is more of like just a line in the sand. It works exactly usually as you expect. I've had some people get up to 4 or 5 milligrams of retatrutide and claim that there's no suppression of their appetite, where someone like myself, I couldn't eat on 5 milligrams of retatrutide.
I gotta be careful what I say. I talked to somebody offline.
There's a theory.
Yeah, I talked to somebody offline who has worked closely in the development of retatrutide, and the gray market retatrutide is an approximation of what what the researched retatrutide is. It may or may not be the same thing. It may or may not have the same fatty ester on it. It may or may not have the same pharmacokinetics as the, and then I guess it depends on the manufacturer. So you don't know 100. Clearly, it's doing something. You could see it on the blood work,
Right.
but we don't know for sure, and it may vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. And if it doesn't, like what I was told is if the fatty ester chain is not attached, or if it's a different fatty ester change, it completely changes the pharmacokinetics of it. So yeah, I mean, I think the molecule is pretty well known, but how they manufacture it and et cetera, that's still probably a closely held development secret, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Something that's important to note too about these GLP-1s is that the side effects can change over time. And it worked really well for me through both of my preps this year. But after being on it for that long, I started to get some side effects that I didn't have for the first prep or even most of the second prep. So with the delayed gastric emptying, that's taken some time for it to correct itself. I've been off now for like 12 weeks, no longer than that, 16 weeks probably.
I am considering dropping it. I mean, although I don't know, because I've been trying to put some size back on. I can't fucking eat, man. I literally just 3 to 4 times a day is all I can get myself to eat at this point. There's a couple days I tried eating 5 to 6 meals like I was on bodybuilding diet before, and the acid reflux and the just sense of fullness was just so terrible. I already have a shitty appetite. I just, and I'm talking about extremely low doses. I'm back on tirzepatide now because I have a prescription for Mounjaro. But I've been running 2.5 milligrams of tirzepatide. I mean, it's the lowest fucking dose.
Yeah, for me, it's not the appetite suppression. I haven't experienced that being a limiting factor. It's the fact that my body won't process the food fast.
Yeah, no, that's what it is for me. It's the gastric emptying.
Yeah. And then the nausea too. Like I didn't have nausea through the whole first prep. And then I got to the last few weeks of the last prep and I started having some nausea. I stayed on for 4 weeks after the show to do a photo shoot and stuff like that. So after that, I dropped it. But the nausea and the delayed gastric emptying were something I didn't experience early on. But once I stayed on it for a while, became a factor. So it might be something that, it's just another tool in the toolbox that you can use for short periods of time to break through a plateau or, use instead of stimulants on a prep or something like that. But the long-term effects, man, we just don't even know yet,
Yeah, and Reta is still
there's no free rides.
Reta is still an experimental compound too. So that's it's another consideration. There is that.
The question too about the better look. I mean, ultimately, the retatrutide might make it easier to get to the same look, but I don't think it would make it better because either you get that look or you don't. And how you get there on a prep is how you get there on a prep.
Yeah. True.
It might help you get 90% there, but it's just like I was going to mention too about the SLU and MOTC. Those were only effective for me and a lot of people I've used them with to like the last 4 weeks, and then it just didn't have enough power to, regardless of dose, to kind of push people through to get the last bit of body fat off. And I noticed that when I got 4 weeks out and I was still on Reta at 3 milligrams, it was almost like my hunger wasn't suppressed. It just, you had to deal with it. It was like I was back on normal scenario. So I do think that's worth noting. If you think you're going to run like some of these things right to the end and they're going to be the finisher, that might not be the case for you. I wish I had probably pulled out the SLU at least and used my, like up to clenbuterol or an ECY or whatever to get that last power of getting the body fat off and making it easy. So if you can use the right tool, use the right tool. And that's one thing I noticed.
In my book, if you still want to get like shredded, Clint's still the king.
Yeah, and I would totally agree. And I think I learned that myself. Yeah.
All right, what do we got next? Sorry for the rambling again.
No, we got a couple of pretty quick ones. This one from Psycho Beast. You guys come off TRT before surgery?
No. No,
Oh.
I've never have. The doctor will tell you you're supposed to.
I was gonna say
Follow-
like that's
follow
the
your
medical
doctor's
advice.
orders.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yep.
gonna say that's what I've heard, but I haven't done it yet.
I think Ryan Root, if he was here, would also say no, but you should definitely tell your doctor what you're using, be honest, and if they want you to come off, you should come off.
Mhm.
All right, so here's my thought process. I do come off all the anabolics. I'll take my last injection like 2 weeks before the surgery. So what I did. This is not my advice, folks. This is not medical advice. This is what I did for my surgery this year. The thing that got me in trouble in the past was surgery. Not my anabolics. It was fish oil.
Fish oil.
Yeah.
Thin your blood.
Yeah, fish oil got me in trouble. NSAIDs will get you in trouble.
Mhm.
Now, were you using a high dose of fish oil, or you just like a
5
couple
grams.
capsules?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like nothing crazy.
Yeah, the dose of fish oil you were taking, I've said this before, is not the reason you had a complication. It is not. And the fact that your surgeon is blaming it on that is also BS. Like it's just not real.
Yeah, I mean, maybe or maybe not, but I would say
It'll
just
make
be
you
cautious.
oozy. Yeah, I mean, it'll make you oozy. It'll make you bruise. I mean, like, let's say we're doing like, something very delicate, like an eyelid surgery on somebody who didn't come off of their fish oil or who's taking baby aspirin and never told us. Like the surgery itself is going to be the same. It's just going to take us a really long time to get like everything like hemostasis, and then also they're going to bruise. And that's just
I guess
reality
the
of it.
argument for coming off the TRT would be clotting, blood pressure.
Yeah, but that's been kind of debunked. I mean, especially at TRT
Yeah.
levels. If you're truly at TRT, you
Right,
shouldn't have an
that's the
increased risk of
problem, yeah.
clotting.
Yeah.
I came down to 6 weeks out from my surgery, I came down to 200.
Yeah.
200 tests. And I basically have been on 200 tests since then until about 3 weeks ago. And then I upped 4 weeks ago. I don't remember. And then I upped it just a little bit.
I stayed on when I recovered from my brain surgery.
Nice.
Just a couple IUs of HGH and 150 milligrams of testosterone a week.
Nice.
I came off the GH because of my diabetes. I didn't want my blood sugar to be out of control during surgery.
That's fair. Yeah.
So yeah.
TRT
I-
generally healthy if it's a real TRT and not TRT
Yeah.
plus this and then the other. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I know that
I-
anecdotally, anybody I've talked to who's stayed on that stuff and had surgery have always astonished their doctors at how quickly they've recovered.
They do increase collagen and repair and healing and everything.
Yep. My doctor, I just went in this week. Hey, I forgot to announce this. I got full clearance to go back to activity.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bring on
But
the
anyway,
dogs.
No more pink dumbbells and green bands.
Here we go.
Back to preacher curls
I'm
and
gonna have to
long
come
pulls
Come
out.
back
right?
out to the DFW and train with you again now that you can actually lift.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
He's like, I don't know what you did. I don't want to know. He said, but it worked. He's like, I can't believe. He's like, I don't see any muscle atrophy from your right to your left.
Wow.
Perfect.
He's like, you look like you did not lose anything at all. He did say my range of motion is limited, so it was like 80% of what my good side is.
Yeah, you'll
He's-
work on it.
Well, he
That's
said
careful.
because of the arthritis and he had to
Mhm.
tighten everything up. I may never get 100% of it back.
Yeah.
I figure if I'm thinking about starting jujitsu.
What
back
percent
up.
do you need to make bigger muscles? That's all you really need to know.
There you
Well, the main thing is being able to crank my arm back for a double bicep pose.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's the challenging one. So I got to work on that.
That was hard before because of the shoulder, I bet, right?
Yeah. I would say it's better than it was pre-surgery, though.
Probably. Well, I hope so.
All right, what do we got next? We'll get one or
All
two
right.
more in.
Okay. Well, we're going to get this one from Gamboni. I love that he always brings up sports into his, but I'm surprised
I
he was
love
switching to
sports.
hockey so early in the season because, there's still NFL. But he asked, how do you feel about using high rep trap bar deadlifts, squats, rows, and bench to improve VO2 max for ice hockey players? Sets of 15 to 25 reps hitting each movement twice a week.
I mean, it would have to be explosive and quick, right? You would probably want short rest times. Yeah, like 30-second rest.
There's real studies on trap bar
Other
deadlifts
stuff, yeah, you can
specifically.
find stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know particularly, no.
Yeah, so I mean that there have been studies on trap bar deadlifts for increasing explosiveness off the line. So I would think for a hockey player that would be a good one. I think any of these, like Paul said, as long as you're keeping them like explosive for that, like depending on what position you play in hockey, they all kind of want that explosive movement.
I know his kid. Yeah, his kid plays hockey. Yeah, I mean, I really I think I don't really know a whole lot about athletic training for sports. If you want some good information, follow What the Heck, John Heck.
Yeah.
John is a
stuff.
big fucking dude. I need to get him on here sometime. John was a former NFL trainer, athletic trainer,
he's huge.
Division I college football player, and this is his wheelhouse. His wheelhouse. But I would think anything explosive. I would say for VO2 max, probably hit cardio. Like some really intense hit cardio.
Yeah, doing sprints, sprints on the ice, obviously.
Yeah, I mean sprints on the ice. I mean that would be
on gases.
Yeah, I mean, and if you wanted to save the knees and shit, you could probably get on the bike and do sprints.
Yeah,
Jackie and I coach a pro hockey player as well as a couple college football players, and we've always separated the explosive training focused specifically in the weight room for explosiveness and tailoring the training that way. And then the VO2 max has just been separate. We don't try to gain that through high reps of training. We do that on the treadmill. We do that in different cardio methods, or literally get on the, practice in your skates, getting your cardio on the ice is kind of the way we've always approached it. So I think separating them, I think you're trying to get one thing of VO2 through the wrong method is just my opinion.
Yeah, Tanya, go ahead.
Yeah. Tanya said if we're talking about power explosive training, that actually needs similar rest periods as far as max strength, but much lower intensity during the rest or during the set. Sorry.
Cool.
Separate from VO2.
Yeah.
Knowledge.
All right. What do we got? I still need to get Tanya. Tanya, you got to come on sometime.
You should do an interview with her for sure, so people know who she is.
Yeah. All right.
There's a picture of your.
Unless I'm interviewing Wesley
Yeah.
or one of the top Olympia guys, nobody watches my damn interviews.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I feel bad because I have people on and then nobody fucking watches
John's
them.
here.
What's up, John?
John on too. IFBB Pro John.
Big John.
He's also a beast.
I saw Salvi compete yesterday, John. He looked good. What were you saying, Amy?
Oh, I was just going to say I ran into John, Justin, and John at the Arnold. And oh my gosh, like talking about like being surrounded by like a beast of men. Like these three like huge guys.
Yeah, Salvi looked really fucking good yesterday. He was the most shredded guy there. Man, that was a crazy show. I did the Virginia State and Armed Forces Classic. My guy won last year, Nick. But like, I think everybody in the DMV area that was doing a warm up before nationals showed up for that show yesterday. There were like multiple high level national competitors that showed up for that show. I've never seen such a competitive, like the fucking True Novice division was even competitive. The Armed Forces division was crazy. The Armed Forces guys look like a bunch of pros.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, how many did you say there were in Classic, Paul?
There wasn't a lot in Classic. There were a ton in Open though. Yeah, there were a ton in Open. The True Novice, there were like fucking 9 guys in True Novice. In the Armed Forces division, there must have been 20 dudes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great show. It was a long day, but all right, one more question. Let's make
One
a
more
good
question. Oh, gotta make it a good one. There's a bunch that were unanswered, so people like ask these questions again next week. Here, we'll do the quick one. We'll do this one from Mad Hench TV. Paul, you just earned an IFBB Pro card. I feel like this is like the intro to like a commercial. Like, Paul, you just won your IFBB Pro card. What class did you win? And may I ask how old you are? And are you going to Disneyland?
I was a Masters competitor. I won at Masters Nationals. I was a super heavyweight open bodybuilder and won Masters division at Masters Nationals last year. Won the overall. I won the super heavyweights, and then I won the overall.
No contest.
So,
You had that handily. Like you crushed it.
I am 51. I'll be 52 soon. I had to think when you get to a certain age, you have to think about how old you are. Like, wait a minute, when was I born again? What year is it? I'm old
At
as
least it's
fuck.
cool to act like you can't remember, right?
I genuinely
Wish I
can't
couldn't
remember.
Like, can
I was just telling
forget?
somebody yesterday I was 52, and then I was like, wait a minute, no, I'm not yet. I'll be 52. And
Right. Yeah. Did it feel good? I'm younger than I thought, right? Come on.
My dad used to do that. Like as soon as it switched to the new year, he would just bump us all up in age. Like even though like our birthdays, we were March, April, and June. So like it wasn't like it was that far off, but still, I mean, like as a kid, I thought that was cool. But now I'm like, no. Keeping that number until the day it switches.
My plan is I'd like to try to do a pro show this year if I can get myself back in condition. I just started training again. Look, let's say I cleared myself a month ago. The doctor cleared me this week. Let's just say that. So I've been training lightly for the last month. I want to see if I can get some size back on and be healthy at the same time. My major issue I'm struggling with right now is just being able to eat. And my blood sugar has been a real challenge. My diabetes has just been fucking challenging this year. Probably part of it's because I'm not consistent with my diet. I think if I just got consistent with my diet, I'd have better control over my glucose levels. But I don't know what's been. I don't know. I guess it's just part of getting older, where it just gets harder to control.
That too.
I think once you're fully switched on again, Paul, and dialing everything in the way you normally do, it'll be easy again.
I mean, the difficulty with being I think it would be easier if I was a true type 1 or if I was a true type 2. This really fucking weird ass 1.5. It's bizarre. Like some days I'll be taking insulin. I'll have to take insulin all day to keep myself in line. And then the next day I don't take any fucking insulin and I go hypo all the time. And I have these wild swings. So it's up and down. And then sometimes it's okay. And certain weird ass things make me spike and some things don't. Like I noticed like chicken and rice. I'm great on chicken and rice. Like I stay right in range on, doesn't matter how much rice I eat. I drink a fucking coffee. My blood sugar blows up to 280.
But you didn't have a lot of those problems when you were fully focused on contest prep.
No, it's funny how that works when you're doing cardio and eating a structured diet. Really weird.
Well, it might be
Also
wise
didn't
for
have
you
the
to.
CGM during prep, so who knows? Things could have been different than they.
Yeah, they could have been. The CGM has been a lightning. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think
follow.
smart
There's
thing-
a. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, just like anything else, like it's your first day in the gym, you don't go right to your PR.
Yeah.
First day on that diet, just get a structure, eat X amount of time you want to plan, and start tapering that food in. You got to just start somewhere. You can't get to the top if you're not willing to start at the bottom.
Yep. All right, folks, I got to wrap this up. Appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you on the
Bye,
next
guys.
episode. Adios.